I am just loving my cozy living room. Loving it. Welcome to this laundry chat slash how to be a good wife video. And if you are new here, my name is Nikki Schumacher. I make videos all about homemaking and how to love your family through your homemaking. I am practically imperfect in every way, as Mary Poppins would not put it. Today I wanted to chat with you guys about how to be a good wife, and I'm going to fold laundry while I chat with you. So I have been best friends with my spouse for almost 17 years, and we enjoyed our first kiss on the altar almost 10 years ago. So I don't have as much wisdom to give as some, but I hope that I can help you on your journey to be a good wife, whether you are not even dating anyone or whether you've been married for 50 years. We can always be preparing for the hopes and dreams that we have, and we can always be getting better. I have to giggle when gals who've been married for 5 minutes give marriage advice, and they give the same advice I would have given when I had been married 5 minutes, which was to have a perfect house and always have dinner ready when he's home and just be the perfect little homemaker, like the Proverbs 31 woman who is just the perfect little homemaker. And it's just so funny because that is the mindset that I had coming into marriage. And I was very, very lucky to ask a few questions of a mentor who had been married about 20 years longer than I had. And she said, Nikki, study your spouse, because I had read this cute little book called The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands. It was all right, by Dr. Laura. And it said all these things I needed to do. And she said, Nikki, you're trying to please the woman who wrote that book more than you're trying to please your spouse. Ding, ding, ding. I had an epiphany. My spouse is unique. He is him. And so then from that point forward, I decided to study him and the unique things that he wants, because he's his own man. You know, he is him. He is very unique. He's not like anyone else. He does not care about the house being perfect. A lot of spouses do, and if your husband does or your wife does, 25% of my viewers are men. Why? I don't know, but you are welcome here. If they care about that, great. My husband does not. I am actually the only one in my household that appreciates a perfect home, a perfectly decorous and clean and tidy home. I'm the only one. And so yes, I do try to keep it tidy, but that's really for me. My husband could care less. This past year, my husband is so thankful. My theme verse was actually Luke 10:38 and following. And basically that says the story of Martha, who welcomed Jesus into her home, and she also had a sister called Mary, which also sat at the feet of Jesus and heard his teaching. But Martha was cumbered about much serving, and she came to Jesus and she said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Bid her therefore that she come and help me. And Jesus said, Martha, Martha, you are troubled and care about many things, but one thing is needful, and Mary has chosen that good task, which will not be taken away from her. That was my verse for this last year. That was my theme. That was my life verse. And I just realized naturally I am more of a Martha, which is a wonderful thing. She had a very serving heart. She loved to work and she loved to practice hospitality, and that's amazing. But the one thing that is important, obviously in my relationship with Christ, I'm a Christian. You're very welcome here, whether you're Christian or not. Most of my videos are not anything about that. They're more about just homemaking. But I think this applies to everyone, whether you're Christian or not. The most important thing in relationships is to be sitting at their feet and listening to their words. Study your spouse. Like, yeah, if he really appreciates a tidy home, that's great. My husband doesn't care. In fact, I'm such a perfectionist, I need to cool it. I need to cool my jets. And he really appreciates when I can just kind of, it's actually more sacrificial for me to kind of just like relax, let the house get a little bit messy on the weekends, and just sit together and talk and watch movies and go do fun things. That is really what he appreciates, and it really fills his tank. He is a person that just, he works really hard to provide for our family, and he needs rest and relaxation. That is my spouse, but that might not be your spouse. So that would be the first thing I would say, is study your spouse. Sit at their feet and listen to their words. Take into consideration their opinions and the things that are important to them. My verse for 2018 I have already picked out, and that is, do nothing from selfish ambition or empty conceit, but with humility of mind let each of us regard one another as more important than himself. As more important than himself. And so putting others first and loving others as much as myself and considering them more important than myself, even though we are all truly equally important, equally valuable. What a beautiful world it would be if we would all consider each other more important than ourselves. Oh, and that is Philippians 2:3, which is going to be like my life verse theme, I guess you could say, for 2018, which is coming up. And not that I have attained any sort of perfection in those areas. Like I always say, I am practically imperfect in every way. There's tons of great marriage advice out there on how to be a good wife, but that would be the number one thing, is to actually study what they want and believe them when they say this is what I want, because we're all different, you know. The things that make my spouse happy might be different than the things that make your spouse happy. When it comes to Christmas gifts and birthday gifts and things like that, I know for my husband, there's really only one thing he wants. Don't make me say it. We have to keep this PG for the YouTube. There's really only one thing he wants. It's a very economical gift to give, really. That was short and sweet. 3 bits of marriage advice. Number 1, study your spouse. Number 2, sit their feet and listen to their words. Marriage is a picture of Christ and his church. So just like we should be listening to Christ's teachings and spending time with him daily, we should be listening to our spouse's teachings and getting to know them intimately and what they like and what they prefer. And then number 3, just always considering others as more important than ourselves. And I'm not speaking to any kind of abusive situations. Your life is very, very precious. I'm speaking to the normal marriage where both parties are flawed, but there's not like some serious abuse going on. That is way above my pay grade. And if you are in a situation like that, I do feel like I should say, you know, please get help. But that is not what I'm speaking about here. So just those 3 things. Number 1, study your spouse. Number 2, sit with them and listen to their opinions and their teachings and the way they like to do things. And number 3, consider that they are more important than you. I hope you hear my heart on this and that these little tips can give you a merrier Christmas. I just really hope that helps. I love you guys. You are good. You are precious. Grace.